Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mitt and I have $27,000 invested into Palantir, and maybe it should be more than that because I've got some big updates on in terms of the institutional ownership of Palantir, with some new updates in terms of some specific numbers that have changed that are positive for shareholders, and Cathie Woods. This is going to be a short video, just an update video, but Cathie Woods, November 29th, 2021, stock price of Palantir closing at around $20. Where are we at? We are at $21.08, which is actually better than where it's been. It's been at like the low 20s over the past week. Just bought another 475,825 shares. And this is only in one fund. So this is in the ARC-Q fund. This is not the flagship innovation fund. This is just one of the other 6 funds that she has. Another 475,000 shares. So let's measure this by a modest 475,825 times, I don't know, let's say $20.60 on average. She's paid for that. Again, that's super average. About $9.8 million. You can say $10 million, give or take $1 million or $2 million. So casually dumps another $10 million into the company while the stock price is at all-time lows from the highs of like 45 back in January, right? When it's down, 30, 40% over the year. So really, really interesting news that's happening. Couple key points of analysis on this, and then I'm going to get into some other numbers. One, it means her conviction is rising. I did another video a couple of weeks ago where Cathie bought another 400,000 shares. That was literally last week. This is another fund, just one fund, that bought another 475,000 shares. And when the Q3 earnings came out, which was a couple weeks ago, Cathie bought about $34 million, which was about 2 million shares of Palantir. So she has been buying the dip. Now, what does that mean for retail investors? That means that you have someone who believes in innovation, who heavily believes in the mission and goal of Palantir. I did an entire video of why Cathie owns about $1 billion of Palantir stock. I'll link that in the description. Definitely check that out because I'm not going to get into it on this video, but it gives you the reasoning behind why she believes in the company and why she has a long-term trajectory horizon for the company and why she's dumping $1 billion into the company. One of 2 companies that are across all of the funds. It's Palantir and Path, and Palantir is one of the only companies that's actually in every single fund that she has. So really important thing on that. The third thing I should let you know is that her time horizon, right? It seems to me that she genuinely thinks that this dip is a gift because she has a 5-year horizon on most stocks, sometimes a little bit over 5. But at that point, if she's looking at this as a 2026, 2027 stock, then she's looking at, okay, I'm going to put in a lot of money right now while it's being underestimated by Wall Street at $20 because $20 presumably to her seems low if she's putting that much money on every single week on this dip, and ultimately just strengthening her position. So that's really important. The second thing I want to talk about today is institutional ownership of Palantir as of November 2021. Now, the institutional ownership was 24%. So in September, retail investors owned about 60% of the company, and institutions owned about 24% of the company. As of November 2021, so about 3 months later, institutions have increased their share from 24% to 31.4%. So it's going up about 6%. And retail investors have decreased their share of the company from 60% to 54%. It's funny that the numbers actually match out almost exactly. So while retail investors were panicking and selling when they probably bought at 27 and now it's at the lows of 20.30, institutions were buying, right? So more of retail has let go of their holdings of the stock, probably to put their money in other places. Institutions have been buying the stock. This says a couple things. Number one, it says that some institutions are having more of a long-term mentality here. Now, institutions in general, especially on Wall Street, sometimes try to think a little bit more short-term. It depends on the type of institution. But at the point where retailers are selling, that means there's a lot of panic selling, and that means institutions are taking advantage of that by buying the stock because they're increasing their overall ownership of the stock. Now, does that mean they're going to flip it at 29? Does that mean they're going to flip it at 27? Maybe. But regardless, if they're buying this at this low of a price because retailers are selling, it lets us know in general, as people who are interested in the market, that institutions have an interest of this stock at this price. And because they have an interest of this stock at this price, maybe 25 was too expensive, but 20 is good. And now they're ready to hold it for the long term because they actually think they entered into the stock and a meaningful valuation. One important thing to recognize is that hedge funds don't have a huge meaningful investment into Palantir, which is actually not the worst thing in the world because, if institutions are buying it and they're holding it long versus hedge funds that are just hedging and shorting and selling, then that might not be the worst thing in the world. And 10% of the company is still owned by insiders. So Peter Thiel owns about 6.9% of shares outstanding. The second and third largest shareholders own about 5.9 and 5.4% of the stock. And CEO Alex Karp holds about 2.5% of all total shares outstanding. So more institutions are buying, going from 24 to 30%. More retailers are selling, and obviously that's bad because retailers are not going to win against Wall Street. So that's why you should just not sell. You should usually hold the stock when it tries to go that down and buy the dip, and you have evidence of someone buying the dip who really is buying the dip, i.e. Cathie would. And the insiders still own 10% of the company. So a little bit of an update, makes a lot of sense to me. I was really interested when I saw this. Shout out to Emmanuel, one of my OG subs. He actually texted me and he was like, yo, Cathie just bought 420. I was just like, what? In one fund, 475,000 shares? That's insane. That's ridiculous. But yeah, awesome stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about Cathie buying more of these stocks, and check out all my other videos and coverage that I do on Palantir. I do Palantir videos daily, and likely this 27,000 I have might end up going to 30,000 because these prices are looking kind of juicy. Not financial advice, but definitely more insight and due diligence coming on these stocks. So thank you guys for watching. My name is Mitt. This is the Daily Business Show, and I'll see you in the next one.